Everybody, and thank you for coming along to the second session we've had over Zoom. The original lockdown we had a question and answer with Ewan Murray. So tonight we've managed to get you one of the top PGA professional referees around, PGA professional Ashley Weller. Ashley and I actually qualified in the same year, 26 years ago, which I just found out tonight. Ash has been fellow of the PGA for the last 2 years. He's been member of the rules panel since 2006. Some of you might recognise him as tournament director from Europro, where his knowledge of the rules has been extensively tested at Montrose in the 5 events that he's been tournament director of, especially when it comes to weather delays and har and fog and everything like that. So it's safe to say we've put him to the test over the 5 years. He's also refereed in some various European Tour events, including the Dunhill Links, not too far from us at Carnoustie and St Andrews, Ladies British Open, and highlight would probably be the US PGA in 2019, won by Brooks Koepka. While Ash is going through his presentation, if you want to ask a question, feel free to use the chat button at the bottom of the screen. Just press that. I can pick that up and I can interject with Ash and ask the questions as we go along if it's relevant. While Ash is presenting, if you switch your microphones off, but keep your cameras on because that won't interfere with the volume in the videos. And just one quick point. This is about the rules and not about WHS or world handicapping or anything like that. Both Ash and I are relatively new to that, as all of you guys are, but I'm sure we'll find some decent rule questions to test them. So Ash, it's over to you.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Evening, everybody. I can see some of you. It's a little bit different doing this over Zoom. We normally do it personally, so bear with us in case anything goes wrong. Got some videos that we'll go through. The sound might be a little bit out of sync with the picture, just depending on how it comes over the Wi-Fi's and what have you, but it should be no problem. If you're getting problems with it, just let Jason know on the chat and we'll try and sort it, but it generally works pretty well. That's today, and that's you. Jason's gone over that. So I've been rules panel for 2006. I started doing some tournament directing on the Europro Tour, just odd events. First one being Montrose. I forget the year, it was about 5 years ago, maybe 6. I got asked to be the lead tournament director for the tour 4 years ago, so I've been doing it full time. So I do most of the events on the Europro Tour now. And then in the winter, if COVID allows, I work on the MENA Tour, which is Middle East and North Africa. So I do this full time now, which was a really, really good idea until about 12 months ago when my work disappeared. But we're looking forward to getting back to it. As Jason said, excuse me, if you've got any questions, just chuck them in the chat. Jason will pick them straight away. We want this to be interactive. I will get bored of my own voice, let alone you, over the next hour or so. So if you've got any questions on any of the things we're covering or any of the videos we look at, please ask questions. And then happy to do a little Q&A at the end if you wish, if there's anything outstanding. So pop it in the chat or save it for the end of the presentation, and we'll try and get everything answered for you. Okay, so the rules, ever evolving, and just to sort of give you an idea, that's what we used to do to drop the ball up till 1984, backwards over the shoulder. I'm old enough to remember, so Jason sure as hell is. He'll remember doing that as a youngster. Then 1984 to 2018, we started dropping from shoulder height, looking forward, so we weren't hurting our backs. And then we decided that we needed to hurt our backs again, so we're now dropping it from knee height as of the new rules 2019 onwards. There was a lot of debate about the dropping height. What they were trying to do was get the ball to stay within the relief area virtually every time you dropped it. So the original plan was that it was going to be dropped from an inch above the ground or more. So we as referee said, so we're now meant to be lying flat on our stomachs, measuring 1 inch from where the player's dropping the ball. It's not practical. So that was a bit of a compromise, to be honest, knee height. But now, as it's got to be knee height, we have to stand there. And if it's slightly above the knee or slightly below the knee, we've got to get the player to do it properly. I have a feeling these new rules, it was a massive change in the rules. They're being reviewed constantly. Some of them have been updated, modified, or changed already. But I think this one, when they redo, they do a 4-yearly review of the rules. I think this is probably going to change, and it's going to go to something like between hip and knee height, or shoulder and knee height, something like that, just to make it a little bit more easy. The whole point about the rules, it was meant to be simplifying them, and this one didn't really simplify it and looks a bit daft in my opinion. But we are trying to drop it and keep it in the relief area, so I think that one's going to get revisited for sure. Rules wise, 1744 were the first known written rules. I think from the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers, I believe, 1744. And then the major rules rewrites, and you can see that it's 35 years since a major revision of the rules, and it was long overdue. So it took about 4 years to get it done, all in all, with all the consultations and toing and froing and rewriting and what have you. But they got it done in the end, and I think overall it was a decent job. But why rewrite the rules? We got to a stage with them where the rules were very, very complex, and the purpose of them wasn't always completely clear. It had got very, very wordy, and the rules, the rule book itself contained hundreds of rules and sub rules, and then we also had as referees and some amateur golfers, it was the decisions book, and I always call that the what if book. That's the rule, but what if it bounces off Jason's head, cannons into my car wheel, hits Claire's bicycle up the drain pipe and onto the green. And this was in the decisions book. Basically, if it had ever happened, it was in that book. So you had to go searching through that one if it was a bit of a strange one. So there's about 1,200 separate decisions on the rules in that book, plus the 34 rules itself and all the subsections and exceptions and what have you. So they were very, very complex, and the purpose just wasn't clear. It was very hard to find the answers. So if you're looking for a rule or an answer to a rules query, there was a definition section, there was notes on the rules, there were exceptions to the rules, there was appendices, and then you might have had to go to the big book and find the decisions. It got to be a very, very complex process to find that rule. And the rulebook language was very dense and complex, and a word being changed could change the whole rule. There's, for instance, you should do this or you must do this. Should is just it was a recommendation. You should put an identification mark on your ball, but you must do this was a rule. You had to do it. A ball and the ball. A ball meant that you could substitute a ball. The ball meant you couldn't substitute a ball. And if you missed just a certain word in a rule or a subsection or a note or what have it, you could end up going down the wrong track and getting it wrong. So it had been written, or it had got to a stage where these rules were being written literally by lawyers to get the wording absolutely correct. So they were trying to get the rules black and white. No way were you going to go wrong, but they were then being worded in such a way that it was really difficult to understand it. So they were kind of in between a rock and a hard place. The rules were meant to be as black and white as possible, but they'd got very, very, very complex. And some of the rules, we got to a situation that some of the rules were unfair. or getting hyper technical, so hair splitting approach, and people were starting to get penalised for no obvious reason. What a lot of people were seeing as an unfair reason that these people were getting either penalties or getting disqualified. There's a number of examples. Harrington got disqualified from an event when his ball moved a fraction of an inch. He didn't notice it had happened. It was shown on TV, close zoom in, the ball had ever so slightly moved. He'd already gone and signed his scorecard. He actually got disqualified. And no one really knew until the TV zoomed in on it. No one really knew that rule had been breached. And people were starting to get disqualified for incidents that were completely minor, but because the rules had to be followed to the nth degree, and then they were signing for a wrong score because they hadn't included the penalty that they didn't know they'd incurred, they were getting disqualified, and it was getting a little bit silly. So here's one example coming up. There's no sound on this, but you should get it. Okay, so that was a US Open. Dustin Johnson, the green was stimping at about 14. It was like a marble tabletop, slopey, a little bit breezy. The guy's wandered in, you can see he's taken his stance, ready to go. He hasn't grounded the putter behind the ball. He hasn't touched the ground at all. He's moved the putter in behind the ball, and the ball's rolled about a dimple. And it was ruled that he caused that ball to move, and he was penalised for it. He was penalised a shot. He didn't replace the ball because the referee actually came. They spoke to him, and the referee said, "Okay, I'm happy that you didn't cause the ball to move." They then reviewed it while he was a few holes further around the course, and they reviewed it and decided that he had caused it to move. So he got a one-shot penalty for causing it to move. He didn't get the additional shot for not replacing it because the referee had instructed him not to. He said he was okay, so he just got the one shot. Fortunately, he won the tournament. It didn't affect the tournament on this occasion, but he's suffered before, and it's cost him a playoff in a major, a minor rules breach. But do you think that's fair that he's caused that ball to move? In those circumstances, on the fastest greens, you take your Montrose greens when Jason's got them sorted out for your club championships, and they're nice and quick. Double the speed, add a little bit of breeze, put it on a slope, and that ball moves a fraction of an inch when you haven't put your club on the ground behind the ball. I thought at the time, totally unfair. Really, really crazy situation for him to get penalised like that. And those are the kind of things that the new rules were trying to address. Got another one. Another one coming up in a sec. Again, why were we doing this? And the rules had limited reference to many typical golfers, and the golfers basically weren't learning the rules to any extent because they were so complex. The basic stuff, yes, but as soon as you got into any kind of detail, people were just completely switched off from learning the rules. It's not top of everyone's list at any point in time, but if they're difficult and they're really, really complex, then people are just going to get turned off by it. So the thinking was to simplify the rules. Just carrying on from that, they were off-putting, intimidating to a lot, especially juniors and newcomers to the game. They're the very, very people that we're trying to get involved in the game. So you imagine, okay, here you are, just joined your golf club, you're playing in the Stableford next weekend. read this book, that's your rules, what you're going to have to do or not do on the golf course before you go out. People are going to say, nah, not for me, thanks very much. So it was very, very it was at the front of their minds that they wanted to encourage people into the game, and if the rules were simplified, then that would help. And also the rules, that they weren't modern enough. Slow play, which is talked about day in, day out. I'm sure it's a nice discussion point in the clubhouses at Montrose after your competitions, that the group in front were really slow, took them 2.5 hours to play the front 9 and what have you. Very little mention of it in the previous rules. Just you mustn't unduly delay play, and that was about it. So they wanted to tackle modern problems, if you like. So they wanted the rules to be more easily understood and therefore applied by all golfers. So getting more and more golfers on board with the basic rules of the game in a simplified manner, get more people au fait with the rules. And try and put me out of a job, but let's not go there. More consistency, simpler and fairer. And I think overall, there's been a few tweaks and what have you, and a few controversies along the way, but since 2019, I think it can be agreed that they are more consistent for sure. Are they simpler? They're still not easy, but I think they are simpler to understand as a layman, and very much so, as we'll cover in a couple of videos still to come up, I think they are fairer. And they wanted to reinforce the game's long-standing principles and its character. And the basic one is you have to play a ball from the tee until it ends up in the hole, and to play the ball as it lies in the course as you find it. That's how we were meant to find it. Stories of guys playing in the open, playing shots out of broken bottles and all that kind of stuff. But you're never going to get to that. But I think they've tried to get us back a little bit to less complicated situations, less areas where you're going to get relief, where someone just looking as an outsider would think, what on earth are they getting a drop for there? That's just crazy. They're trying to get back to the basic roots of the game. They'll never get there. The game's too modern, too complicated now, but I think they've made a good stab at it. So what does it look like these days? There's 2 books that you can get. There's the rules book. That's as it says on the tin. That is the book of the full rules of golf. But they've also put in a player's edition, written in the second person, simple wording-ish, and it covers the more commonly found situations that you're going to get when you're working with the rules. Where points aren't covered, you're pointed back to the main rules book. But certainly as a club, with your members, with your new members, or even your long-standing members, they should really at least have a player's edition in their golf bag, because the simpler stuff is in there. There's diagrams. It's a lot more easy to navigate. Certainly, if I was in charge of a member section or running a club, I would have a bunch of them on the desk and hand them out, because it covers a lot, and the basic rules probably cover 90-95% of the situations you're actually going to get on the golf course. So if your members can understand the player's edition, got a reasonable working knowledge of that player's edition of the rules, then you're a long way down the line. And also, and again, I think the R&A can certainly have been criticised in the past of being a little bit behind the times, a little bit stuffy. They put an enormous amount of money into generating online and social media resources. The rules section on the R&A website is very, very good. And the rules as a whole, there's a lot more in the way of diagrams. So rather than just words, hey, let's have a look. This is what your relief area looks like. This is this is how you drop it. It's much better, but the online resource is absolutely fab. And if you haven't got the R&A rules app on your mobile phone, get it, because you've always got your mobile phone with you, and you can find virtually everything on it. So if you're on the course, got a little rules query, get that app on your phone, and it's laid out a lot better than it used to be. You'll find virtually everything you need to know on that app, and it can save you a lot of trauma on the golf course. So some of the major changes that were made, this is just a very small selection, but there used to be 34 rules. There's now 24. So the rule book is a bit easier to navigate, and they've moved stuff around within the rules. Nightmare for me, who has an exam next Friday and has to know all the rule numbers and subsections off by heart. And with a year of not playing golf, my brain's gone straight back to the old rule numbers, and I've got to relearn them all again. But we get there in the end. Dropping a ball, obviously it was stand erect and hold out your arm from shoulder height and drop. We've now gone to knee height. Time allowed to search for a ball was changed from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. I think that was huge for pace of play. And again, working a lot of tournaments, the number of times a ball in a ball search with players, caddies, refs, and a couple of spectators, number of times a ball was actually found between from the end of the 3rd minute to the 5th minute in those last 2 minutes of search was very, very small. It was either usually found pretty quickly or it wasn't found. So the number of balls that aren't going to get found in those last 2 minutes is pretty small. And if you multiply that over 156 players playing a round of golf, the number of ball searches you have, that has been massive for pace of play. One of the big ones, repairing damage on the putting green. Pretty much any damage, including spike marks, can now be repaired. So that's probably slowed down pace of play a touch. But again, I think fairer. You walk on the green, the guy in front's twisted his heel. Great big spike mark up there. You've got the 3-foot putt with a mountain range between you and the hole because of this guy's heel mark. Totally unfair, and you weren't allowed to tap it down. So I think that's a good move, a sensible move. And then the areas of the course have been renamed. And one thing you could sit and say in a rules seminar with a room full of golfers, tell me what through the green means. Nobody really knew. It's now the general area. So we've got general area, bunkers, penalty areas, greens and tees. That's it. So again, wording being more simple. The general area is the area of the golf course you're most likely to be playing from, and it just doesn't include bunkers, penalty areas, tees and greens. That's it. So the wording, again, being simplified. So that's some other changes. I'm just going to have a look at a couple of examples of how the rules have changed, and just see that things are a little bit more straightforward. So here's your first one. I'm just going to play that one again. So it's just what he does immediately after he's lifted his ball. So under the old rules, anything wrong with that? Absolutely right. He's tapped a spike mark down just on his line of putt. That cost him, keep nodding, Jason, cost him a big fine, 3 months suspension, something like that, wasn't it? He got banned off the tour for 3 months, big old fine. And this is Simon Dyson. It pretty much finished his career. He never really recovered from it. The line of putt was completely sacrosanct, and he's claimed he had no memory of doing it, no knowledge of doing it, but it was picked up, and he got absolutely slaughtered for it, for tapping down a spike mark on his line of putt. Did the punishment befit the crime? Possibly at the time, yes. He got absolutely vilified. I think the reaction was a bit over the top, but he was disqualified for it because he didn't include that penalty in his, under the old rules, didn't include that penalty in his score, signed the card, wrong score, and off he went. But it destroyed him as a player, and all he's done is tap down an imperfection caused by somebody else on his line of putt. So if Simon Dyson had done that last week, no one would have batted an eyelid. You're now allowed to repair damage, including spike marks, footprints, holes made by animals, anything like that on your line of putt. No bother. You can tap them down now. So comparing what he went through from doing that, I think that was about 5 years ago, off the top of my head, something like that, 4 or 5 years ago. And now no penalty, carry on. So again, simplified, there's damage on his line, he can repair it, crack on. I think all in all that's fair. Jason, I can see a couple of chats have come up. Anything worth?
Oh, nothing yet.
Nothing a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next video. This one's a bit longer. I would like you to pay homage to the humble rules official and the fact that you can plainly see after about just after the bad news is delivered to this player that he would like to be anywhere else but the 15th green at Augusta at this point. He wants to be out of here, and this is how we're made to feel sometimes, but you can see why. Here we go.
Show chipping all the way back up, using a lower lofted.
A la Raymond Floyd.
This looks handy too. Just a little quick there, but he's compiling one of the better rounds of the day, is Billy Horschel. Look at him. Running up to mark that before it falls off the false front.
You know, the wind's going that direction. So if Augusta wind were to come up, could literally blow that ball right in the water.
Fortunately, he's put a coin behind it, so the job's done in getting it into his pocket. Wasn't able to find it, but posted a tournament low, or a tour low 60.
That's so low. Uh-oh. And we have a rules official, and clearly when this happens on the green, it's got to be a ball moving.
Well, he was concerned about marking his ball. And
Oh, no. So
take us through this.
Oh, my goodness. So if he literally had the ball down, and so the ball is in play, he didn't cause the ball to move. If he had, he wishes he caused the ball to move, because then he'd be able to replace it with a one-shot penalty. So he's going to now be playing his 5th shot from the other side of the lake. And he's getting the news now. This is what the ruling is, and he can't believe it. This is one of the injustices of the game. You're on the green, the ball's down, you've already marked it, you put it back, and the wind hits it and blows it in the water.
Had he left his coin behind the ball, is that deemed to be not in play?
No, the ball is in play when you leave your coin behind it as well. And it's really whenever there's a decision like that to be made from a player's perspective, you don't mark the ball down until you are ready to hit it.
Let's just have a look. He was having a look from the other side when a big gust of breeze just came in.
He didn't need to have the ball down. He could have seen the line of his putt with a mark down, and you can see the ripples on the water as the gust hits it. And this is such a helpless feeling. It truly is. There are several rules in the game that are just an injustice from a player's perspective, but it's up to the players to understand the rules and when you can be at a disadvantage.
So now he's able to go back and play from here, because this was in fact his 3rd shot.
Correct.
That has been deemed to be the outcome of it.
but it's still stroke and distance. And so he'll be playing 5 from down here. Of course, the ball's going to roll more than 2 club lengths. He'll get to redrop it.
Well, we know Billy Horschel can get hot under the collar. He'll really need to just take some time here.
Yeah, he needs to collect himself.
He's
had a pretty good round going.
Had a great round going. He was level par here at this stage and was thinking maybe birdie after being over the pond in 2. And now he's...
You know, there's been situations in professional golf where this has happened. I remember Ed Doherty in the 1986 Bing Crosby, Luke, held the lead playing the 17th hole at Cypress Point on a Saturday when he 10-putted. He continued to putt the ball up, and the gust of wind kept blowing the ball off the green.
On which green? On 17?
On 17. He 10-putted and went from in the lead to missing the cut.
It's a cruel game at times, Bobby
And they
Clampett.
suspended play immediately after that because of winds.
So now Horschel playing his 5th shot.
Interesting how he decided to putt this time.
Considering what he's been enduring.
That remaining for bogey.
Speaking of bogeys, McIlroy's just made one at the 3rd, so Spieth's lead back out to 3 already.
Have you ever seen a rules official move so fast to get the hell out of there? As Horschel looked like he was about to kill him. Number of things from that video. So the rules as they were that if you cause the ball to move, you replace the ball and you had a 1-stroke penalty. A ball moved by what we now call natural forces, i.e. wind, is in play from where it finishes up. So you can see that prior rules change where this one was. Horschel had played his shot on, he'd actually marked it and replaced it and was just round at the other side of the hole lining up his putt, and the wind's got it and blown it in the water, and he gets a 1-shot penalty and has to go back to where he played his last shot from, which is monumentally unfair. And again, we've got the Masters 14 of 15 on the stimp. It's on a slope right by the front of the green, shaved bank down into the water. It gets windy at Augusta. These things are going to happen, and happened a lot. So the rules were changed in a couple of ways. Now, even if you accidentally cause your ball to move on the putting green, so putting green only, if your ball is on the putting green, if you accidentally kick it, drop your putter on it, drop your ball marker on it, you replace the ball and there's no penalty. That's been changed. That's a good rule. So we've not got these ones where like the Dustin Johnson one we looked at earlier. Did he or did he not cause that ball to move? Even if they still ruled on that old the previous Dustin Johnson one, he'd have just had to replace the ball, which was about a 1/10 of an inch closer to the hole. Or if he hadn't caused it to move, he's going to play it from where the ball is. But what they've also changed is that if your ball is on the putting green and you have already marked and lifted it and replaced it, like Horschel had, you own that spot on the putting green now. So if the wind blows the ball into the water like it did there, he's already marked, lifted and replaced it. He will just replace the ball on that spot or the estimated spot and no penalty. So in this particular video, if he had just hit the ball on the green to that spot and he was walking up to the green and the wind blew it in the water, okay, he's still in trouble. But as he had already marked and lifted the ball and replaced it, he owns the spot. So under the new rules, Horschel would have just placed a ball at that spot and carried on. So he'd have been putting for birdie still, not chipping back on the green for 5. He actually made a hell of a 6 there, to be fair. But again, that's one of those ones where a bystander or a layman watching that coverage thinking, how can that possibly be fair? Not quite as unpopular as VAR, but I'd say running it a close second. And here's another one from the old days. Okay, just do that one again. Okay, so that was Peter Hansen, Ryder Cup player. Quite a few years back now. It was one of the very first times where they started using this ultra close-up, super slow-mo type filming. And I actually went in, he played that belly wedge shot, and I actually went in with the commentary. I remember it saying, oh yeah, this is how to perfectly execute a belly wedge. Hit it halfway up the ball with your sand wedge, rolled it on the green, etc. It was a fairly new sort of style of shot as well. It was quite a new thing, that playing the belly wedge shot as it was. And they were looking at this. Here you go, hits it exactly halfway up the ball, and you can see the ball move forward, but then sort of rests against the grass. The grass kind of holds it up, and the club follows through, and he's double hit it. So again, under the old rules, a double hit was counted as a stroke plus a penalty stroke. Fortunately, he was still on the golf course at the time, and they caught up with him and said, "We think you may have double hit the ball on the 16th." And he just said, "No, I'd have felt it. I'd have felt it if I double hit it. I'll have a look in the caravan when you finished." And before he signed his card, he went and had a look, and he said, "I had absolutely no idea that had happened. I didn't feel it, not a clue." So again, changes in the rules. Again, that would have, if that had been picked up under the old rules at the time when this happened, if that had been picked up after he'd finished his round, he'd have been disqualified because he was assigned for a score lower than he actually took, which is unfair. He had no idea he'd broken a rule. Absolutely, couldn't feel it, nothing. So now, double hits don't count anymore. Double hit is just one stroke. But also, if he had, let's say there is a penalty for a double hit still, which there isn't, but if there was, and he'd signed his card and left, and then this kind of coverage comes up, there's now what we call a naked eye standard of officiating. If he couldn't have reasonably been expected to know that he'd double hit that ball, then he would escape. Because if you couldn't tell with the naked eye, and they're just trying to get away from this super slow-mo, hyper HD kind of video where the tiniest little movement of a ball can be picked up and the player's not aware of it, they're getting absolved from penalties now, which again is a good thing. They're getting away from this trial by television and the armchair referee type of thing going on. And again, I think that's a very positive thing for the game. But as it happens, double hit is now not penalised. And again, fortunately, he was leading. He won the tournament. I think he actually had to go into a playoff instead of winning it outright, but he did actually win the tournament. So good news for him. However, this is my favourite bit. There's still no excuse for stupid people.
Interesting position here. No has missed his tee shot wildly right, and he's on the middle of the green on the third hole, and he's elected to whack it off it. Up it goes. Going to be interesting for the guys putting after that. Hit a good shot though. We're here with PGA Tour Rules official Brad Fable. Slightly interesting thing just happened there, didn't it?
Yeah, I I couldn't tell if he was on the green or not. I knew he was close to the green, but evidently, you know, player was on the wrong putting green and decided to play it off the green. So unfortunately, it's a 2-stroke penalty.
Is that a local rule or is that a rule of golf?
No, that's a rule of golf, wrong putting green.
Okay. Well, we heard it first right here. That was definitely one of those things you don't come across every day, is it?
It was a first for me, yes.
So, Jason, is 2-shot penalty for playing a ball off a wrong putting green adequate, or should it be death by hanging?
It depends. I think it depends on your greenkeeper.
So in your case, it's death by hanging, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you miss the third, for example, I don't really want to see anybody hitting a lob wedge from the middle of the 16th green back up onto the third. Definitely not.
There'll be some divots to repair that.
That
It might help flatten that. Might help flatten that green out a little bit, mightn't it? Right. What do we got? Playing. Sorry, should explain that one. Playing from a wrong putting green is forbidden. It used to be that you could stand on a wrong putting green to play a ball that's off the putting green. So say that ball played off the thirds, rolled down, and the ball's just off the 16th green, but you've got to stand on the 16th green to play it. That's now been changed that you can't be standing on a wrong putting green to play a ball that's off. It can be modified by local rule just in case that you have the type of course where the tiny little fringe and then thick rough, so you'd have been dropping from a nice lie into knee-high cabbage. But the standard rule is that you can't stand. You get relief for stance as well as live ball on a wrong putting green now. Which I think,
Ash, on that subject, if that's a situation, and there is a dropping zone, do you have to go to that dropping zone?
generally speaking, a dropping zone is an additional option.
Okay. So as long as you're taking full relief from the wrong putting green, you don't have to go to the dropping zone.
No, dropping zones, it depends how you've worded it, but dropping zones are normally additional options under the rule. Is that what your little square is down near that green that we try to ignore when we play Europro?
We've had dropping zones down there in the past, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was that for balls that were landing on 16 green?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was for the goals that you were pulling out.
No, some of the dropping zone, we used to have dropping zones behind the 16th green specifically for that when you hooked one off the third down onto that green. Perfect.
Yeah, normally additional. Same with I know you do have the world's smallest penalty area on your golf course, but that's it. But it's quite common with penalty areas. They put a drop zone in, but it's an additional option.
So the option, if you are on Louise has asked, what do you do if you're on the wrong green? So is it reference point and then take your drop?
So if your ball lies on a wrong putting green, or you're standing on a wrong putting green to play a ball, you find the nearest point not nearer the hole that gives you complete relief for live ball stance, area of intended swing, and you drop within 1 club length of that.
Okay.
And while we're on relief areas have been simplified because you now get your reference point and 1 club length for a free drop, 2 club lengths for a penalty drop. That's your relief area. So in days gone by, if your ball was embedded, you had to drop as near as possible to the spot. If you were if you're playing stroke and distance, you had to drop it as near as possible. That's now all been clarified, and it's your reference point, and then you get the club length or 2 club length area to drop in. So that's been sorted out, and that's where things have been clarified and made more simple. It's, not one situation, you got to drop it exactly here. Another situation, you get a club length. It's now, okay, there's your point. There's your relief area, drop in it, which is good. Any other questions up that we need to answer now, Jason?
Carol's asking, what if, because at the moment, obviously we've got winter greens,
Yeah.
marked out. So what if our ball is lying on a winter green, but you're putting to a normal green? Does that count as a wrong green?
No, because they're not technically greens. You've got two options there. They're basically you nominate your temporary greens as sorry, you're playing to your proper greens now.
Yeah.
But you've got temporary greens marked out that you
Yeah.
don't really want to destroy. Okay. Your temporary greens should be classified as abnormal course condition, ground under repair.
Okay.
So again, nearest point of complete relief for stance, area intended swing and live ball, and drop within 1 club length of that.
Okay.
However, that relief is always optional. So you may drop a ball, so you could play as it lies. If you want to stop people playing from those temporary greens,
You make them GUR.
you make them GUR with compulsory relief. You have to have that as a local rule.
Okay.
Your only problem there is that someone who is unaware of that, if they play the ball from the green, even if they just putt it, they're going to get a penalty.
Okay.
So it's about, if you can get everybody totally aware you must not play from the temporary greens,
Yeah.
then you're good. The only thing you need to be careful of is that sometimes, by the definition of a temporary green, the lie of the ball is going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you haven't got that next to a patch of 7 foot high rough, so that the nearest point of relief is in 7 foot high rough.
Yeah. Okay.
Just be careful where those greens are situated.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to cover?
No, I think that's it for wrong green.
Okay. I can see nine chats there at the minute. Is that right?
Yeah, that's okay. All
Yeah.
covered.
Good. Cool. Right, before we start, this is quite long. It is within the rules. It's mainly in there because it's quite funny. And this guy, Stephen Cox, used to be the head of tournaments at the PGA in this country, and God, he's been over there a long time now. So it was my first full year on the rules panel. So 2006, 2007 time, he's moved across to the States and now works for the PGA Tour. And he's quite renowned amongst us that all the really smelly rulings that happen, he's quite often involved in them. The one, did you see the one, Jason Kuchar, when he was trying to claim his ball had bounced and embedded twice? Yeah, that was him. That was Coxey. But he was the one that came up and said, I think we've been doing this long enough, just get on and play. That was Cox losing his temper with him. But this guy, so this is Kevin Na he's on the 9th hole, first round, Texas Open, I think it was. See if you can keep count, guys.
Again, and if this breaks, the part of the trees break?
Get in there.
Okay.
Not see anybody get in.
Yeah.
I'll just,
I mean, there's nothing. You got nothing. Let's go back to the tee. Pick it up, right? Yeah.
I always hate to hear those words. And this was what happened back at the tee.
ooh. He might be right back in the same spot. Headed right.
Oh my goodness.
Man alive.
You got another one?
Ooh.
I mean, it's 50-50, huh? Yeah. What are the chances of me getting out here? Oh, 50-50.
You hear him speak?
Oh! I might hit it. About.
I gotta get the bag out of the way.
Bag's not in the way.
Well, if it hits something, it could be out of the way.
He's going to go for it.
Directly behind you. By that foil here. I think that ball was hit.
Unless it was a branch.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I heard it. I felt it something.
Oh man, this is getting
It hit
worse.
my inner thigh. I don't know if that was a branch that came up or that was a ball, but something hit me.
Well, that'll be a penalty shot if it hit him. No. Well, now you have,
Damn it.
I don't,
Oof. We could be here a while sorting this out.
take a look at it.
So if I call and play, where do I go?
You're operating from this spot. Obviously, back as far as you like.
But I can't go back to the tee.
Got to come back to your Steve in the middle of rolling. Yeah. Okay, thank you. You heard that. So I was right. So it looks like you've got one for that.
So
for that
can I
bridge.
call another unplayable there?
So obviously from that point there, you've got back in line. As far
Or
as
I
you
can
like,
just go right here.
where you played your last stroke from, or 2 club lengths from that point.
Butchering this hole. All right. So if I go far as back as I want, I can go right here, wouldn't I? Drop it right here.
Can you see the flag from there?
Yeah.
Just need your right footage, your right foot there.
Kenny, just give me another ball.
You can hear the frustration in his voice now.
Oh, man, he is playing quick too. He is obviously got the head spinning going on right now.
We think that was his 7th shot.
Wow. He moved it a
And
couple
still counting.
feet. My goodness. We're going to have to try to figure this out. I don't. That one pass, I'm not sure if he whiffed the ball. Then he hit it another quick again.
He wants to get out of
We're going to have
Dodge.
to figure this out. I'm not even sure what stroke he's playing.
We think that.
That was 11.
Yeah.
And further back in the stuff. Ooh.
There's just no relief with the. Finally,
Oh my goodness.
with his 12th shot,
We think.
and he gets a round of applause for that. Let's hear what Kevin Na had to say.
I have no idea what you have.
I don't know. How are we going to count all the shots?
I have no idea.
I can't keep track.
Well, they got it on tape, so they're just going to have to go back and count it.
I really feel that this should.
What's this, his 13th shot?
And we think. Trying to get sticks. He's got thorns stuck in him. He's probably got all kinds of tears in that shirt.
Well, he's smiling about it anyway.
Yeah.
Caddy's not. Well, I don't really know what this is for. We'll have to add them all up.
Wow.
Not done yet.
No. I don't know what you can say. I mean, he just really didn't think that through.
This is roughly his 15th shot. But that's unofficial. We'll have to tally that.
I think that basically says there's hope for us all. Anybody know what he shot for the round? That actually was 16, I believe, that he took on that hole. Have a guess what he shot, Jason.
80.
Exactly correct.
Thought so. I thought it was I couldn't remember if it was a 15 or a 16 he had.
I think it was a 16, but he shot 80, which is quite extraordinary with a 16.
He never does anything in a hurry, does he?
I was going to say, when they said he's playing quick, I thought Kevin Na plays quick. That's the first. Under the new rules, it would have been a 15, not a 16, because you're not penalised for accidentally hitting yourself with the ball anymore. So he still would have missed the cut, but there you go. the one sort of point there, he played his first shot, wanged it in the trees, decided he had nothing, and went back to the tee. Played 3 off the tee, stuffed it straight back in the trees again. At that point, he could have said, okay, I'll go back to the tee again, and I'll be playing 5, stroke and distance. As soon as he took a swing at that ball and it hit the tree, came back, hit him, he's now in the middle of the forest. And his options are, that if he wants to declare it unplayable, which he did, he can go back to where he played the previous shot from, which was about 3 foot in front of him. He can go back on the line, keeping where the ball is on the line between him and the flag, or he could go 2 club lengths not nearer the hole. As soon as he took a swing at it in the trees, he's in the trees. He can't go back. He loses the right to go back to the tee because that's where the previous shot was made from. So as soon as he took that swing in anger, thinking he could get it through a gap that obviously didn't exist, he's in a world of pain and he knows it, which is why he just starts sword fighting in there. So if you do that, yeah, for goodness sakes, have a think before you start swinging at it. I did it in it was regional qualifying for the Open in 1876 or something like that. And I was going along nicely. I was a couple under par, playing the 14th, and I whipped it left, which I have been known to do. I'm in knee-high rough. I have one swing at it. It goes about a foot, and I'm in the same situation he was in. I just couldn't get the thing out, and ended up taking a 9. So I missed getting through to final qualifying by a shot or 2 shots, something like that. And the guy I'm recording says, blimey, how did you take a 9 on the 14th? So I held a 25-foot putt. But yeah, take a breath, have a look at your situation. Sometimes going back to where you just played your last shot from is the best option, because one swing at it, leave it in stuff like that, and you are dead. That was brain fade, and this one I would probably just say is bad luck.
Here's Justin Rose. Now he's taking a practice swing here, and I want you to take a look at what's going on at the 14th hole with what happened to Justin as he takes his practice swing. Take a look at this, Frank. Takes a little bit of a divot. Oh, and it hits the ball.
Causes the ball to move.
Yep. Caused the ball to move. He brings an official back out there. It ends up being a 1-shot penalty. Look at Justin Frank just staring at the ball there.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. It's a cruel game sometimes.
And a common one that happens, similar kind of theme to that. If you're standing next to your ball on the fairway and you take a practice swing and you accidentally hit the ball and it goes 15 yards straight right or whatever, that is you accidentally causing the ball to move, and you take a 1-shot penalty and you replace the ball. It is not a stroke, because a stroke is the forward movement of the club with the intention of striking the ball and striking and moving the ball. So a lot of people fall foul of that. If you then wander over 15 feet to where the ball's finished up and play from there, you're now on a 2-shot penalty because you're playing from a wrong place because you didn't put the ball back. So you're now in a world of pain. So if you accidentally hit the ball when the ball's in play, then it's a 1-shot penalty and replace the ball. If you do that on the tee, so you've got the ball teed up, ready to go, and you take a swing at it, and you take a practice swing and you just accidentally hit it with the toe of the club or whatever, and the ball rolls 5 foot forward. That is not a stroke, and it is also not a penalty, because the ball is not in play until you've made a stroke at it from the teeing ground. So that you would just stick the ball back on the tee peg, no penalty, away you go. So again, whilst the rules have been simplified, there's little subtleties in there. So ball in, you need to know what a ball in play is, and that's after you've had a swipe at it from the teeing ground. So if you accidentally cause it to move on the tee before you have played a shot, that ball isn't in play. Stick it back on the tee and away you go, no problems at all. if you accidentally hit it when you're in the fairway with a practice swing is not a stroke. So you've accidentally caused that ball to move. 1 stroke penalty, pop it back. Okay, that's the end of the videos and what have you. I'm going horse. Pass over to Jason and see what we've got. Anything from the chats, Jason?
Not really. The only one was that when Kevin Na obviously decided to hit a provisional off the tee, why did he not just go and hit another one off the tee?
It wasn't a provision. I don't think he played a provisional. He's hit his tee shot in there. Mm-hmm. So the first time you see him in there is off his tee shot.
Okay.
Which he's decided is unplayable, and he's taken the go back to the tee option.
Okay.
So when he hit the second ball off the tee, when he let go of the club, and it's sailed straight back to where it came from, he could have played a provisional, no problem. But if someone finds that ball,
that's the ball in play.
Yeah, that's the ball in play.
Okay.
You can't. What you cannot do is declare a ball lost. You can't say that ball is lost.
Yeah.
There's actions involved. If he got to his provisional and played that from a point nearer the hole than where that original ball was, then that ball would be deemed lost.
Okay.
But he can't go, if someone says, "Oh, I found a ball," he can't say, "I don't want to know." He has to go and identify it one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what he should have done once that second ball went flying into the trees, and he gets there, and again he had no shot. He had no shot at all. He should have said, "I'm going back to the tee. I'm going to play 5 off the tee." And he could have got away with a 8 or a 9 instead of a 16. Mm-hmm. I think another one's flashed up there. Anything?
Can he not declare that he's unable to identify the ball?
No.
No. Okay.
No, he's as soon as someone has said, "I have found a ball," the player is obliged to go and identify it one way or the other.
Okay.
You can ask people not to look for it. You can tell people not to look for it, but if someone chooses to look for it or is trying to be really helpful and finds it, then yeah, he's got to go and recognize it. Someone said, "I'm sure he makes 15." It might have been a 15. It was 15 or 16.
Yeah. Okay. And then obviously that one where you've Justin Rose is the divot has hit it. So off the tee, you have a practice swing, the ball falls off the tee, there's obviously no penalty. But
yeah,
if you do that on the fairway, you must replace it and it's a 1-shot penalty.
Yeah, because at that point the ball is in play.
Ball's in play. Okay.
Yeah. So if you accidentally cause a ball that's in play to move, then you get the penalty. Unless the ball is on the putting green, in which case you replace it with no penalty.
Okay.
There's no more questions, which I can't see.
No, not
see. There are. I'll just open them up now. If you have anything you want to say or what have you, if you want to unmute and just if you want to do a Q&A, ask me anything you like, except about WHS, please feel free.
Alan.
Hi, Pat.
Yeah, hi there. If my ball is embedded in the grassy face of a bunker, so just above the sand of a steep bunker at the face of a bunker, in the middle of the bunker, so it's unplayable. So I declare it unplayable. Where do I drop the ball?
Okay, as long as it's not a stacked turf face, you're okay. So the ball is not in the bunker, so it's in the general area, which is fine. So you get relief for an embedded ball. The actual process you have to go through, and it sounds a bit. So what you're saying is, if you drop it, it's going to go back in the bunker for sure, isn't it? Because it's on the slope. But what you have to do is go through the process. So what you would do, you would mark the point directly behind where the ball embedded, not near the hole. You can measure out 1 club length, not nearer the hole, using your longest club. So generally driver, if that's what you carry. And you drop within that relief area, but that relief area cannot be in the bunker. So it will sometimes be a very, very narrow strip of grass that you're looking at dropping on, but you'll find somewhere. That ball will undoubtedly land and roll in the bunker. So then you drop it again, and it will undoubtedly land and roll into the bunker. So what you do, you take the spot where it's struck the ground on the second drop. So if you think in your head, drop, drop, place. So you drop it, re-drop it, it's still gone in the bunker. So now you're placing where it landed on the second bounce. The ball will almost certainly not come to rest on that spot. Okay. You can't push it down into the grass to try and make it stick. You have to place it. If it doesn't stay still, you then start playing the game of the nearest place you can find that's in the general area, so not in the bunker, not near the hole where the ball will come to rest. That's where you place it. So when it comes to rest, the nearest place you can get to that point that's not near the hole where it will come to rest, then you go with it. That's where you place it. So are you right-handed?
Yep.
Okay, so if you've plugged it sort of in the left half of the bank, if you like, you'll drop, won't come to rest place, and then you'll be moving towards the fairway almost certainly where the ground's going to level off. You have to go both sides, try and find. But if it's sloped like that, don't muck around too long. It's not going to come to rest anywhere there. Work your way out towards the fairway as soon as you get to a bit that's level-ish. 2 sugars, please, Michael. Where it comes to rest, that's it, and there you go. So you're lucky if you plugged it left side, because you go left side and you get to stand nicely. If you're unlucky, you're going right side, and the ball might be outside the bunker, but you might be standing in it to play it or whatever, or certainly on a big slope or something like that. So it's nothing to do with your stance, it's the ball. So work out your relief area, drop the ball, it will almost certainly go in the bunker. Drop it again, it'll almost certainly go in the bunker. Drop, drop, place. So where it landed on that second bounce, place it, then start moving to the nearest point where it will come to rest. But it can't. The only proviso is it can't be near the hole.
Mm-hmm. And if there's either a local rule or I would say a winter rule that you're not to play balls from kind of the riveted face of a bunker, so a similar kind of situation. So in this situation, you get a free drop rather than a penalty drop. You still go through the same process.
Yes. If you are not allowed to play from the revetted faces, that becomes an abnormal course condition. And nearest point within 1 club length, and that should be a free drop.
And if they're dropping it, it ends up in the bunker. When you do that, you go through the same process again until you get out of the bunker. But you could potentially be still standing in the bunker and hitting your shot on the grass to the side of the bunker.
Yes. Yes. For when you're placing, for when you're placing the ball, yes, that could be that could potentially be it. When you're basically, it's where the ball lies, and the ball has to lie in the same area of the course as where you're dropping it. So you're dropping it in the general area, so the ball has to finish in the general area. So including if it rolls onto a putting green or rolls into a penalty area, same thing. You're dropping in the general area. That ball's got to stay in the general area.
Thank you.
No problem. There's one come up on the chat there.
Ash, Rona's asked that if you are hitting your second shot and it's landed out of bounds, where do you take the subsequent shot from, and what is the penalty?
Okay, by the rules of golf, you are playing stroke and distance. So the point where you took your, the point where you, I was just looking at one up saying, ha, nice try. I was trying to read that at the same time, but I can't multitask. So you played your second shot and it lands out of bounds. You take stroke and distance penalty. So you go back to where you played your second shot from. That is your reference point, and you drop within 1 club length, not nearer the hole from there, and you're playing your 4th shot. So it's stroke and distance penalty. But there is a local rule that a club can put in. It never goes into tournament golf, professional tournament golf. But there is this local rule where you can drop for 2 penalty shots at the approximate position where it went out of bounds, and there's a there's an arc involved and all that kind of stuff. But we don't play that in tournament golf. Yeah, I don't know. Have you got that local rule in, Jason, or not?
No.
No. Okay, there you go then. Stroke and distance. So back to where you played that shot from, 1 stroke penalty. So you're playing 4.
If we have it's happened recently. Doesn't happen a lot on our links, but it has happened recently. We've had bunker at the front right of 11. After all the water and the snow, it was full of water.
And obviously, just before the par 3, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't marked GUR, so the bunker is in play. Bunker is full of water. Ball's gone into the water, so that's abnormal ground condition.
Course condition, Jason.
So you now have no option but to come out of the bunker.
Yeah.
So reference point, do you need to keep the reference point from where the ball was? So do you need to keep the flag between the ball and, do you need to keep the flag in line with the ball, which becomes a reference point, and then drop it under penalty?
Correct. Yeah, you come back on the line. If you're dropping out of the bunker, it's a 1-shot penalty. What should happen in the ideal world is that whoever is in charge of the competition or what have you, or greenkeeper or whatever it is, comes back and says, "Hey, that bunker on 11 is completely full of water. There's that, and you can't." So the standard we go with on Europro, if it's got a puddle in it, and if you land in the puddle, there's an area in the bunker where you can drop it, then we leave the bunker in play.
Mm-hmm.
If the puddle's at the back of the bunker, so that 80% of the bunker could be in play, could be perfectly playable, but there's a puddle at the back, and there's no way you could drop in the bunker, not near the hole.
Yeah,
we would take that bunker out of play. To avoid that very situation. So someone should say front right bunker on 11 is ground under repair, free drop, away you go. But if you can't drop in the bunker, then you are coming out under penalty.
Yeah. Okay. So the only way around that is to have the bunker GUR.
Yeah.
Okay. Alan.
Yep.
Want to ask a question about hitting your own equipment?
Yeah. So I believe it's no penalty now to say hit your own bag. But what if your bag actually, you shank the ball, and it hit
the ball.
Yeah. And it clearly it's gonna kind of go into, we'll say OB. I mean, it could be like deep rough or whins or whatever, but your bag clearly stops it from say going out of bounds. That's still okay
if you deliberately place your equipment to alter alter the movement of the ball.
Yeah.
Then you are under penalty.
Okay.
But to have it there just in case you shanked it, basically in a position that is sensible. So you as a right-handed player, it's in front of you, might be just ahead of you. You'd be very hard pressed to convince me that was there to deliberately influence the ball. If you're putting down a very, very fast green, to a tier that then runs off and would then run into the bunker, and you deliberately put your bag behind the flag so that if your ball did run down the slope, it would hit the bag, stop it, and wouldn't go into the deep bunker or the penalty area or whatever. Yeah, you're going to get a penalty for it. But if you shank it, accidentally, and I don't know anyone that does it deliberately, and it heads straight off that way and hits your bag and comes down, then you're okay. And unless someone could prove to me it was deliberately put there to influence the movement of the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Just to say I haven't shanked in ages. It's like it's about 4 hours.
You've been talking about it for a wee while, Al.
Jason's just typed he's a lying git in the chat.
Michael, you've got a question? Go for it. You must be on mute, Michael.
I think your microphone's off, Michael. No, you're definitely off now. Can you
type it?
Type it in the chat, Michael. We'll come back to it. I think he was asking me how many sugars I wanted.
So, Ash, to go back to everybody's favourite American golfer, Patrick Reed.
Oh, I knew you were going to do it to me.
Situation that he got himself into a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Can you explain now where, obviously, when I was brought up and you were brought up to play, if you were going to do anything with your golf ball, you had to inform normally the person who was marking your card, or definitely a playing partner that you wanted to identify or you wanted to mark it. But now you don't have to do that.
No, do you you don't subscribe to a website called golfmagic.com, do you?
No.
Because I wrote an article on this. They
okay.
contacted me straight away and said, could you write us an article on this one? Patrick Reed took a absolute load of ladies present grief for that. As soon as it happened, he got pelters for it because he's Patrick Reed. And has he got a dodgy history? Yes, he has, without a doubt. And if you believe the stories that come out of college, it's quite extraordinary. But I don't think he did anything wrong. He could have done it differently. He could have done it better. But did he do anything wrong? Certainly not by the rules, no. So he's walked up. He's played his it's par 4, wasn't it? And he's in the fairway bunker. Plays his second shot, snipes it a bit left, and it lands in the rough, just the other side of a cart path. It was wet. They'd had a lot of rain. None of the players, none of the other 3 players, and none of the 4 caddies. Sorry, there's only 3 of them, wasn't there? Sorry, the other 2 players and the 3 caddies didn't see the ball bounce. And to be fair, Reed couldn't, because he'd hit it around the corner behind a tree. So he goes up to where the ball was. There was a little, the spotter had put a little flag in next to the ball. And he said to, seeing Louise's question, he said to the spotter, did you see it bounce? And she said, no, I didn't see it bounce. So he finds it, or goes to the ball, he marks it, and he lifts it. Before he's done that, he called across to his playing partners and said something like, she didn't see it bounce, I think it's plugged, I'll have a look, or something like that. You don't have to do that anymore. If you're lifting your ball to identify it, you don't have to inform your opponent or playing partners anymore. I personally think that's a mistake. I think you should still have to do that. And you had to give them the opportunity to come and witness you lifting the ball. But you don't have to anymore. So he did more than he had to. He informed them what he was doing. He's marked it, he's lifted it. He thinks the ball is embedded, stroke plugged. And what he's done, he's probed with his finger. So he's lifted the ball, hasn't cleaned it. And he's just moved his finger around in the hole to see if there's an indentation in the ground, which he thinks there is. And now you've got all the conspiracy theories. Oh, so you could see his arm straighten, so that shows he was pushing the ball into, pushing his finger into the ground. Absolute nonsense. You can't tell he's doing that at all. He then thinks it's embedded. He's left his ball set to one side, called for rules. Official came in and said, yes, that's embedded. Away you go. Took his free drop, chipped over. Then they show from another angle the ball coming in, and you can clearly see it bounce and land about 3 or 4 feet away from where it first hit the ground. So the rubbish hits the fan. Patrick Reed, cheat, and all this kind of stuff. He didn't see it. None of the other players saw it. The volunteer spotter, ball spotter, didn't see it take a bounce. Everybody thought it had embedded. He'd lifted the ball. There is an indentation. It's embedded. He gets a free drop, and away he goes. What could have happened? He could have pushed the ball into the ground to make it embed, to get a free drop. He didn't really gain anything from the free drop, in my opinion. I think he might have got a slightly better lie, but it was minimal. No proof he did it. It could have, the ground was very, very soft. It could have, doesn't have to do an awful lot to embed if the ground's very, very soft. Could have done that on the second bounce. It could have gone into an old pitch mark, or someone could have trodden on it accidentally and pushed it down. All scenarios in which he would have got a free drop. There's nothing he did. What he probably should have done was just call rules official straight away and let the rules official witness him, mark it, lift it. And as it happens, when I reffed the US PGA a couple of years ago at Bethpage, I was on the 6th hole and he'd sniped it around the corner, and it wasn't an embedded job, but he couldn't identify the ball. I was about 20, 30 yards away, and he's called me over to witness him marking, lifting, and identifying his ball and replacing it when we knew it was his. So, you know, it's one of those things that he got annihilated because he's Patrick Reed. And in the same round of golf, Rory McIlroy on the 9th hole, something like that, exactly the same. He's gone, thinks his ball's embedded, marked it, lifted it, called across to the guys, I think this is embedded. He's lifted it, decided it was, no rules official involved at all, took a free drop, played onto the green, and then the video coverage there again showed the ball's landed and hopped and hasn't embedded on the first bounce. Hardly anything said. Mm-hmm. Because they're assuming that McIlroy plays by the rules. And to be fair to McIlroy, he's put himself at a disadvantage when he felt that he was getting a really favourable thing. He said, I don't think that someone had stepped on his ball. That's right, and it was in a major as well. I think it was the US PGA last year. Mm-hmm. And when the ruling was done, he said, I don't think that's a lie I'm entitled to from where it was. And he asked the ref, and he pushed it further down, gave himself a worse lie, and made bogey. So he's got form for being very, very honest. And Reed has got form for the other way. But those two particular situations, no difference. Mm. You can't criticise, in my book, you can't criticise Reed for his actions on that particular instance. Okay. I think he got really harshly dealt with there.
Okay. Mike's question was, if you were playing match play and you didn't want your opponent to go and look for the ball, but your opponent went to look for the ball, you can't stop that, can you?
No.
Okay.
Not very sporting, old boy, but as we would say down here in Surrey, or Kent, wherever I am today.
But if that ball is then found within the 3 minutes, that is the ball in play regardless.
Unless he's hit a provisional and he's hit it past that point and he can get to it and hit it before your man finds his ball in the rough. But it's a bit of a foot race, to be honest. It's a bit like if you play a par 3 mm-hmm. and you snipe one in the woods and you hole your provisional.
Yeah.
It's a foot race. And because you can't play another shot because you've holed it, it's when you pick it out of the hole. So you have to leg it to the hole, get the ball out the hole before your opponent runs 50 yards in the woods and finds your original ball. Good to watch.
Louise is asking something that's happened quite a bit. We have a very hungry crow round about the 7th tee, 6th green, 7th tee on the 1562. And it has happened on the Broomfield as well. What happens if a crow takes off with your golf ball or a dog removes it from the green?
Take a shotgun with you.
Now we reserve them for the rabbits.
The rabbits and the slow golfers. You place a ball at the estimated spot.
Okay, as near as possible to the estimated spot.
Yep.
Okay.
In both incidences, it used to be if it was off the green, you used to drop it, and if it was on the green, you used to place it. It's now place.
Is that the same if the ball's moving when the dog picks it up? I had a little dog pinch my ball on the second. Oh, well, that was in the hole.
In the hole.
Of course it was. I would have to double check that one because that did change.
The woman was walking down on the 17th, Jason. She didn't even know the dog was up there.
Right, okay.
So it was breaking all the laws of responsible access. But anyway.
Right, okay. I've seen it kind of deflected, but I've never said, you must have been going something to catch it well in motion, to be fair.
No, it was a little brown job. It was little
Right,
brown
okay.
rustly thing.
Okay.
Yeah, get shotguns out. That's what I say.
What happens though if the dog drops the ball near the hole?
Yeah, that's the one where I think that. So I'd have to double check that one because it's one of those ones that changed. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Jason, just while Ash is doing that, Jason, have a guess where my ball on the 18th this evening finished after my second shot. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for this morning, by the way.
Where I put one of those 3 balls this morning.
Funnily
in the
enough.
middle of the road against the curb or out of bounds?
The last one. Thanks.
Out of bounds.
We do mark it quite close to the road.
It was a pretty horrible thing, right enough.
My favourite story about the 18th was a certain season ticket holder was in the front left bunker, but not the greenside bunker, the one that's just set back from the green a little bit. And he's knifed it straight out of the bunker. It's smacked Grey Harlings just below the bay window. It's bounced on the road, it's bounced on the green, and it's gone back to his feet in the bunker. He couldn't have hit that again 100 times over.
I'd have been happy enough if mine had come back to me today, but no luck.
I've seen one run up the fence of Grey Harling when it was a bit floppy and pop over into the garden.
Yeah.
So Jason, just while Ash is getting his thoughts together there, if I was playing in Brecon in a kind of a Ryder Cup type competition against some visiting Irish team, and my opponent was driving off on the 9th tee in Brecon, and about 40 yards in front on the ladies' tee.
Yeah,
he hit a garbage can, and his ball ricocheted out of bounds. And his 6 handicap Irish teammate said, "Oh, you can play that again, no penalty." And he teed off, and I lost. We halved the match in the end, but I lost that hole as a result of that.
Okay, so importantly, knowing these Irish chaps as I do, was this before drink or after drink?
Well, intra drink. They always drink before.
As far as I understand it, if he's hit a bin and it's gone out of bounds, he's out of bounds.
Yeah.
Same
So
as if he hit a tee marker.
I think he was claiming that this was an immovable object, and therefore, because he'd hit an immovable object,
so potentially it wouldn't have been there.
Well, so it was a man-made object.
I still think he's out of bounds.
Yeah. So, because I was completely, I mean, it was a bad tee shot, right? He sort of thinned his tee shot and then went out low and hit this thing and then ricocheted out of bounds. So, as far as I was concerned, he was playing 3 off the tee, but they weren't having any of it.
Okay.
Cheating bastards that they are.
I'm gonna have to come back to you on that one with the animal picking it up and while it's still in motion.
Okay. Do I get a prize for asking a question that you can't answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Jason owes you a bottle of scotch.
I'd rather have golf balls. Don't drink scotch.
What happens is I witnessed in a seniors open a couple of years ago when I was doing the starting, the old guy smacked it off the tee and it hit a seagull. And it killed the seagull stone dead, but it also killed the ball stone dead. And the ball didn't make it off the end of the first tee. Does he have to play it as it lies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
under the seagull.
Yes. You can move remnants of seagull if you
Yeah, we
want.
removed the seagull, but then he had to play it as it lies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was adamant he could have played it again because it hadn't left the tee, but I told him no.
Left the tee, no, it was in play. The only time you cancel on that kind of thing, when you cancel a stroke and replay, it's when the ball breaks.
Okay.
Ball breaks into pieces.
Okay.
So Ash, on the same topic of dogs, I was on the 9th a couple of weeks ago playing with Ian Anderson, and my tee shot was just right of the fairway, and both my partner and I saw it, and we went up to find it, and there was a woman walking with dogs. She had about 3 or 4 dogs, and we couldn't find my ball. You know, it didn't even occur to me to hit a provisional because it didn't look like it was going to be remotely gone, and the ball had disappeared. Now the dogs were scurrying around the place, and we are both convinced that the dog had actually picked it up, but we didn't see it because the tee is behind gorse. You know, you can't see the fairway clearly from the tee. So what's the ruling there?
Did one of the dogs look like it had been chewing cocaine?
And of course, at this stage, they had, you know, they were kind of past us because we, you know, they were walking towards the tee. So we had sort of crisscrossed, so we couldn't even ask her about whether one of her dogs had picked up the ball before. So what happens there?
Okay, it has to be known or virtually certain that ball has been moved by an outside influence. So if you'd hit that into 8-foot high rough,
yeah,
and a woman with 2 dogs has walked past, and you say, I think that dog picked it up. Nah. Back to the tee you go. If it rolled a foot off the fairway and the rough is that deep, and you've seen dogs moving around very, very, very close to your ball, and you get there, and basically where else is the ball going to be? And you and your playing partners agree that the only thing that could realistically happen is that a dog's picked that up and gone off with it, then place, and away you go.
Yeah, you place it where you think it lay. Yeah.
You place a ball at the estimated position where it's been moved from, and away you go.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Flash, kind of started off the night with, it's not 100% a necessity that everybody who plays knows the rules from cover to cover anymore, or ever had to. So if you were, would your advice be still along the lines of to kind of know what and read through what the definitions are, and then possibly know out of the 24 rules that there are, roughly what rule numbers cover what?
Yeah, I would. What would I do first? I would say definitely read the definitions, because very much like the accidentally hit the ball on the fairway with the practice swing. Oh, I don't know. If we asked everybody in a room whether you've made a stroke, 80% or 85% would say yes. You made, you know, that counts as a stroke. And what's a stroke? It's a forward movement of the club with the intention of striking and moving the ball. You had no intention of hitting the ball, so you've accidentally caused it to move. So I think definitions are important. Some more than others, for sure. And then I would get that players edition of the rules, because they cover the most common ones. So this is, you see what sad and lonely life I lead these days. So these are the rules of golf. They're written down, the rule numbers and the subsections. And I've got 4 pages of A4 of them, the 24 rules. I have to learn them by heart for my exam next week. So I get like about 30 multi-choice questions. Player plays a provisional ball. What's the rule number? And I have to know it's 18.3 or whatever. Hang on a sec. Yes. So revision's going well, but do you guys need to know that rule 1.1 is the game of golf, 1.2 is standards of player conduct, and 1.3 is playing by the rules? Nah, not at all. Rule 2, no. The rules I would get a grip on essentially really is bunkers and putting green 12 and 13, dropping procedures number 14. I'd say sort of 12 to 19 are the ones you should really know as a competition playing amateur, and a brief knowledge of the rest of them. So 12 basically is bunkers, 13 is putting greens, 14 is dropping procedures, and 15, 16 are free relief. So that's your movable obstructions, loose impediments, abnormal course conditions, all that kind of stuff. And then 17, 18, 19 are your penalty relief rules, which are penalty area, stroke and distance, and unplayable ball. And if you know them pretty well, home and hosed, I would say. So it's some bits of some of the other rules. Yes, they're important, but that's it. 21 to 24. I rarely look at them, which are the different forms of golf. So it's Stableford, other forms of stroke play, force and ball and team competitions. I don't get involved in them. I don't look at them. So yeah, Players Edition. Quick whiz through the rules app on the RNA website, rna.com, and you're good to go. You learn as you go along. And the one thing I was saying, I would say, don't assume if you're playing golf and you're playing with a lower handicap, don't assume that person knows the rules better than you do, because in a lot of cases they don't. I've seen some low handicappers make some catastrophic rules errors that you just think, how long have you been playing? But they tend to be assertive to a novice golfer or a high handicap golfer, and a high handicap golfer will naturally be a little bit intimidated, and they play off 6. They must know the rules. Don't if you're in doubt, fight your corner, or at least at least question it or find out for yourself. Don't automatically go with a more experienced player, because they're not always right.
One thing that kind of I remember when I was an assistant playing in assistants events and things like that, you are allowed to, if you're witnessing your playing partner about to break a rule, but not on purpose or anything, you're allowed to step in and question him or her on what they're doing, or
absolutely
is that the right way to go about it? You don't have to wait until they break the rule, do you?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. No, if you think someone is about to do something wrong, yeah, just say, are you sure? I'm not sure that's the right way to go about it. And a lot of players on the Europro Tour think that we as referees sit in buggies waiting for them to break the rules so we can go, yeah, 2-shot penalty.
Yeah.
Exact opposite. We're there to try and stop them breaking the rules and to help them when they're in doubt. So I've gone across fairways to a player I can see is taking a wrong drop, and they can drop the ball wrong. As long as they don't make a stroke at it, they can correct that error. Mm-hmm. So if you can get to them in time, and I've saved lots of players, lots of shots in the past just by looking and thinking, you can see from 100 yards away sometimes, like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You can see they don't know what they're doing at all.
So if that's the case, if they're in the middle of going through what they perceive to be correct, and they've taken a wrong drop, but they haven't hit the shot yet, then they can rectify that before they hit the shot. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Rule 14 points. 5. Louise, when you get a copy of the local rules for each course, back of the scorecard, and they should be posted on the notice board in your relevant clubhouse.
Yeah. They're certainly always on the back of our card, Louise, and they have been rewritten since 2019. So they are
that's always good news.
They are all relevant.
Andy M. another animal one. My ball went down a rabbit hole so deep that it was out of sight and lost. Is this a penalty? No, it is. As long as you are, as long as it's known or virtually certain. So, and that's 95% sure. Basically, everyone's in agreement. You saw it go down the rabbit hole, or again, there's an area of flat playing ground with a load of rabbit holes. It's the only place this ball could be. It's gone down a rabbit hole. Your ball is lost in an abnormal course condition. Your point of reference is where it went in, so on the edge of where it went into the rabbit hole. 1 club length, not near the hole, free drop.
Ash, you mentioned earlier about the potential change in the dropping rule from the knee to something a bit more open, waist to knee or something. Is there avenues for discussion that you're involved in or aware of with regards to any potential changes that are maybe relating to pace of play? I mean, one of the things that annoys me is, and they see it and the pros do it, they mark their ball and then they put their ball down to align it and they leave the marker there and they stand up, they line it, they touch the ball again, they get up, they do it about 3-4 times. Something like that. Why is that not similar to a preferred lie? As soon as you take your fingers off the ball's in play.
Yeah, it's we have the Europro Tour and professional tours. We have much more detailed guidance on pace of play. And for instance, on a putting green, the player is given time to mark, lift, clean, and replace his ball, move any loose impediments out of the way, and then the clock starts. And they get 40 seconds. If they're first to putt, they get 50 seconds. If they're second or third to go, they get 40 seconds, plus 10% margin. So say they're second to play, second to putt, and basically what we're saying there is if you're first to putt, you're first to putt. If you're second to putt, you should have done some work while the first person was putting. So while they're lining up and everything, you can have a look at your line, or you can clear the leaves out of the way, or you can line your ball up, whatever. But you should be doing some work. You shouldn't be sitting on the side of the green leaning on your putter doing nothing. Oh, it's my turn, is it? In I go. So you get 10 seconds less. So effectively, you've got 44 seconds. We're given 10%. If that player is dawdling, and that applies to going up to a shot in the fairway as well. So we let them get the yardage and away they go, and then we start the clock. But if they've taken forever to get to the ball and they're wandering around and they take forever to get their yardage book out, I'll just start the clock because they've had adequate time to do what they needed to do before we start the clock. If they're wasting that time, we'll start the clock. And we give out bad times regularly, which is when they exceed that time, so that they basically get a warning and then they start getting penalty shots. And last season we played, we penalised a player a shot for getting 2 bad times actually in consecutive holes, and they missed the cut by 1 shot. So they ended up with a nice fine and missed the cut by a shot. So we are active. There's a limit to how that can be enforced in the amateur game and via the standard rules of golf. But we spend 90% of our time on pace of play and 10% on rulings, if that, maybe 95.5. All pace of play, getting the guys round. We have timing sheets. And do you actually have roving marshals, Jason?
We did have a ranger at some point, and we may go back to that again, depending on numbers that are going to play on a Saturday. But we did have a ranger for a while.
Okay, I mean, what I did, what we have on tour is we have a pace of play sheet, and we allocate X number of minutes for each hole, whether they're playing 3 balls or 2 balls, adjusted accordingly. And so for the 9 o'clock group, I know what time they should be putting the flag in on every hole up until they finish. So as soon as if they should have finished the second hole at 9:30 and the flag goes in at 9:34, they're already 4 minutes over schedule and we're on them. And what I suggest you could do to help your members is have exactly that. If you have regular tee times, set your pace of play and give it to the marshal. Okay, there's the 9 o'clock group. They should have been coming off 10 green at 10:45. It's 10:55 and there's a queue of people. The marshals then got the ammo to go to that group and say, guys, you're 10 minutes behind schedule. What's been going on? Okay, we lost a ball on 8 and we lost a ball on 9. Okay, big gap, make it up, but you've actually got something physical instead of just saying, oh, what's going on? Well, they're just playing really quick, they're way outside or whatever. Guys, you're playing slow. End of story. I can send you a template if you want, Jason, if you think that'll help you.
I'll have a look at it, yeah. Have a look at it.
Cool.
Let's see who we've got. So Carol's asking one about ball came to rest on the edge of a bunker.
Yeah.
Such that only stance was in front of the ball balanced on one leg. I was given a penalty as a player in another foursome said my other foot had touched the ground crossing the putting line. So I had in effect played a croquet shot.
This was in a county, Angus County ladies competition. I didn't even realise my foot had touched the ground, but.
Well, during the stroke?
Well, she said as I took the stroke.
That's not one leg. So he straddled the line, basically.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And were you aware your foot even touched the ground?
No.
I'd have argued the hell out of that one. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to stand astride the line to play a shot.
Yeah.
But that I would say that's quite dubious. That's someone being a wee bit pedantic, and especially
even in my playing group, which was the annoying thing. But
even worse. So how far away were they?
Sorry.
How far away from you were they?
Well, they were on the it was where two tees crossed, so they were fairly close. They were close to the green that we were playing on. So
yeah, but not as close as you were. And you just say that it was close, but I didn't feel my foot.
I didn't think my foot had touched the ground, but
no, I'd have argued the hell out of that one.
Ash, penalty areas.
Yeah.
So we now don't have water hazards anymore.
No.
So yellow. What was yellow stakes and what is yellow stakes and what is red stakes are now penalty areas. But the rules haven't changed. You've still got 3 options from a yellow penalty area and 5 from a red.
You've got 2 from a yellow.
Okay.
Back on a line, or back on a line, or where previous shot was made, and with the red. So you still have yellow penalty areas and penalty areas, and with a red, you also have the 2 club lengths from where it last crossed the margin.
Okay.
What they've removed is the opposite margin relief.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah. Okay.
They used to have. It's really unless you're protecting the integrity of the golf hole, we mark everything red now. Everything, unless you're specifically saying to the player, even if you clear this and it spins back in or whatever, you're going to have to go back there and have another go, because that's the whole point of this golf hole. We just go red.
Okay.
So your massive penalty area on the 14th, you can leave that red.
Okay.
The puddle.
Okay.
Going quiet.
Anything else?
Going quiet. So what's your 99%, Jason? Is that the proof you need?
Yeah.
95 now, apparently.
I knew it was 95,
Yeah.
between 95 and 100.
Tell me what the difference is.
It came to light again when I was playing. Can't remember where it was, but the hole kind of went over the brow of a hill, and there was a water hazard that went right across the front of the green.
Mm.
And we had a particularly good summer, golf course was hard and bouncy. Obviously, my playing partner doesn't think he's going to reach the water hazard in front, but it's obviously bounced and bounced and bounced, so it couldn't have gone anywhere else.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of where, if it's not in there, where else could it possibly be?
Yeah, and that's because when we called out the referee, that's what he was arguing when he said, look, he said it couldn't possibly have gone anywhere else. It's not as if there was dogs or animals around to lift it, so the ball could only have gone in the water hazard.
Yeah.
So the referee agreed, and he carried on.
That's it. Yeah, basically, where else could it be? If it's not in there, where else could it possibly be? If it was anywhere else, I'd find it. That's the proof. Yeah, or someone's seen it go in.
Except if it's down a little rabbit hole on one of the fairways on the Broomy.
You don't have rabbit holes anymore.
And also hitting yourself now anywhere, there's no penalty, including bunker.
Leg, shin, arm.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. No penalty for accidentally hitting yourself with the ball. No,
that's fine. I had a guy telling me today there was still a penalty if it was in a bunker.
No,
I said no, it's not.
Okay. That's just one of those ones where you say, you find it and show me it and I'll believe you.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got a good story about that, but probably not in mixed company, about hitting myself in a bunker. And
Ash, if you're in a bunker and on your backswing, you accidentally touch the sand somewhere, like even if it would say at the side of the bunker and it wasn't improving your lie at all, but you touch the sand accidentally in your backswing, is that a penalty?
In your backswing to actually play the bunker shot?
Yeah.
Penalty.
So touching sand anywhere accidentally with your club is a one shot penalty.
In your stroke on the backswing, yes.
Yes.
When you're making a stroke in the backswing, if you touch the sand now away, so if you walk into the bunker and you're pushing the club and you accidentally clip the sand, that's not a penalty anymore.
Right. It has to be on your stroke.
Yeah. Backswing to make the stroke. Yeah.
So subsequently, you can lean on your club while waiting on your partners to play now.
Yeah, as long as you're not deemed to be testing the condition of the bunker.
Okay.
But you can take your bag of clubs into the bunker, and lay them down next to you, and choose your club and play. And you actually always could do that.
Okay. So settle an age-old argument. Very first Europro we had, John Morgan, 16th, which is still on YouTube.
It is,
and still gets amazing amount of hits.
And was referred to. When did we refer to that? Oh, we did a Zoom call 2 days ago with a golf college.
Okay.
And your 16th hole, John Morgan, were referred to, and they watched it while we were doing the Zoom call.
To anybody who doesn't know John Morgan yet,
good luck.
He's as daft as a box of frogs. He's an ex tour player, one in America, and he commentates and does all the infill for Europro. So in our very first Europro, he was extremely excited to see the hole that Crenshaw describes as at 16. And he decides to have a go at 16, and he's explaining to the viewers the two different ways of playing the hole. So he's decided that he's going to wing it straight onto the green, but he comes over the top of it and snipes it straight left into the bushes, left of the 16th green on the hill beside the third tee. He then gets another ball out and decides he's going to play it by running it up over the gully and up on the front of the green. So anyway, he holes it live on camera, and of course he's claiming that it's a hole in one. But the cameraman said, no, wait a minute, your original ball is in the bush. So is it a 1 or is it a 3?
The debate rages to this day, believe me. The best bit about that was it was the final day. So they were filming ahead of the final day. They go out very early in the morning. So they're on 16, and there's a group standing on the 4th tee. And I'm moaning about the pin position that I hadn't set. It was someone else because I'd never put it there. It was on the ridge on the left, about halfway back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was impossible.
Yeah.
it was impossible for a wedge, let alone a 230-yard par three. And the players are on the tee moaning like, are you having a laugh? Like, you seriously expecting us to play to that flag? That's a joke. That's a joke. And Morgan's ball rolls up the green, up the slope, straight in the hole dead weight. And he just walked up and went, yeah, that's what you do. Back foot, just four. It was a 4-iron he hit. It's 230 odd yards, wasn't it? It's just run the 4-iron up. Just, 4-iron back foot, just draw it. That's what you got to do. See you later. And skipped off the green.
He was actually using my clubs. I think it's the last time my 4-iron ever hit a good shot. Because he didn't have his own clubs. And he came running in the shop and he said, I need some clubs. Well, you can take mine. I think that's the last time my 4-iron hit a decent shot.
He is obscenely talented. There's another, if you put John, so it's John E. Morgan, hole-in-one on YouTube. The other one he did was at Cumberwell Park, and this was also filmed. And we put a challenge up, and it was nearest one shot. It was on their par 3 course, an island green, and it was every player had one shot nearest to the pin. Nearest to the pin, it was either £1,000 or £10,000, and a hole-in-one was £100,000. And we had it all insured. We had the boards round, filmed the whole thing, and we put this pin in. And Morgan was saying, the shot is just past the flag to the right, it'll spin, it'll take the slope, it'll come round, and it'll go in. That's the shot to play. And everyone's bombing it straight at the flag, straight at the flag. He said, no, it's 6 foot right at the flag, whatever it is, just past 6 foot right. And they'd finished, and the nearest player was about 4 feet away, won his money. And Morgan said, I'll play the shot. And he turned, and the guy from the insurance company was there. And he said, if I hold it, I'll get the $100,000. And the guy said, oh, yeah, we'll have a chat. And Morgan's hit this shot. And as soon, he said, it was one of those days when he's in the zone, he knows exactly where, and he said, it's going exactly where I want it to go. And he's hit it. And as soon as he's hit it, it's like, oh, go on, my son, go on, my son. It's landed, spun, rolled round, and dropped in. And everyone's gone absolutely crazy. And he's turned around and he said the insurance guy was as white as a ghost. Thinking he's got to pay out 100,000 quid. And Morgan promptly dived into the lake and swam across and got the ball. That's the 2 holes in one he's got on YouTube. You watch them, they're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But he's mad. Absolutely bonkers.
So in 5 Europro events, is there anything we haven't thrown at you yet?
Well, no, the only such things run across Louise's screen there. I was going to say the only one we haven't had is a weather delay free event, but we actually managed that last time, didn't we? So we've had everything. Yeah. Giant panda on the beach.
Yeah. We've been on the beach. We've had fire. We've had rain. We've had wind.
Yeah.
Thunder.
Sure, we've thrown everything at you.
Yeah, we had the thunderstorm. That was my first. That was my first event. That was when we finished. We started at first tee time was 6:30 in the morning, and we put the flag in with the final group at 18 minutes past 10 in the evening.
That's right. They came down the last in the dark, didn't they?
In the pitch black. Yeah, we were standing. I had a ref behind the tee. Myself and Graham were either side of the fairway, and I had Gary Allison, can't remember who the other one was, might have been Watty, down by the green. And we had the 2 guys. So I've got the ref behind on the radio telling me which way the ball's gone off the tee so we could try and hear it down. So everybody's taking eye and says, whoosh. Chris Joyce behind the tee went, no idea. Lands near me, got it right side of the fairway. Okay, second one. Whoosh. No idea. Thump. No, got that one, left side of the fairway. Then all he heard from Chris Joyce's behind the tee was, oh my God. Okay, come in, Chris, what's going on? He said, oh my God, what's going on? He's pulled a driver. Oh. And all you heard was,
never got to be 2D again.
All you heard was twang off the tee and silence for about 8 seconds. And then all you heard was crash. Gary Allison, yeah, got it. Where is it? He said it's just pitched into the advertising board next to the green. So we were all going down ready to move the advertising board. He's just behind it. And he's going to leave it. He's got his lob wedge out, flopped it over the top, and hit it to about 3 foot. And that kid finished 2-3-3 to miss the cut by 1 shot.
Oh.
And they played 18 was pitch back, 17 was dark, and 16 you couldn't see the ball more than 100 yards in the air, and he finished 2-3-3.
Louise, your question about hole in one, it all depends when you get them. Because I went 3, and the first one I was a junior, and I'm not allowed to buy any drinks, so that was fine.
Yep.
The second I had one, the bar was shut, so I couldn't buy any drink. But the third one was very expensive because it was the Merky Captain's Gala Day, which is about the second busiest day in the club. And I flushed it straight in at the 12th, and that cost an absolute fortune. So it depends where and when you have them, how much money you have to spend.
Yeah,
you are insured, aren't you? So
yeah, you are insured you're insured. Your bar bill is insured. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have to come
I'm
up
pretty
there.
sure there might be a limit to that, but you are.
Yeah, I think it's
insured. Yeah.
Is it 70?
I think it's 75 quid, Carol.
75 quid, but you can usually get it through your club or through the MJLL one.
Yeah.
I think Claire Penman basically tops it up. If it goes over that, Claire Penman tops it up.
Oh, she's come off.
Oh, hello. Checking she's still awake.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Anybody got anything else? Well, I think it's now 9:10. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming. I have numbered everybody 1 to 20. Ash, give me a number between 1 and 20.
You just show me all the names.
No, you can't read it.
Can't read your writing at the best of times.
Ooh.
Number between 1 and 20.
Yeah.
My first handicap, 17.
17. So Dave Clark has just won a free lesson for attending this evening.
Hey.
Excellent.
But he's not here, so we can't collect it.
That's okay. I'll tell him in the morning. So, huge thanks to Ash for giving up his time to talk to us tonight about a subject that needs to be done. I'm sure everybody's taken something away from it. Certainly I have. It'll be good to see him back in his rightful place as TD when we get to June and Europro is back. Hopefully by then we will be kind of back to some sort of normality. I think the big English date is the 21st of June, and hopefully all the lockdowns and everything like that are all over, and our tournament starts on the 23rd. So we should be hopefully be back to normal by the time Ash is back up, and you're all perfectly welcome to come along and say hello. We will be looking for volunteers and things like that when Europro comes along. So now that you're all rules aficionados, we can help Ash out with his team on the week. So thanks very much, Ash. That was great.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Yeah, 23rd to the 25th of June.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will see you over the next few days, no doubt, as I'm sure you will all be playing.
Yeah, what's it like playing golf? It's an Asian concept.
Yeah, can we remind the English what it's like to play golf?
Quite marvellous.
I did wonder why I asked him if he would do this. He bit my hand off extremely quickly. And then I realised we haven't been doing anything. So
Is that or building fences at the moment? What do you think I want to do?
yeah, absolutely. So, but I'm sure by the time you come back up in June, you'll have played a few times before then.
Hopefully. That's
great, Ash. Thanks very much.
No worries.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys.
See you all over the next few days.
Thanks, Jason.
And I'll give Dave Clark the good news in the morning. I think he's playing in the morning. Should be fine.
Needs a lesson.
And that'll be fine. So, what have you got? Are you planning for the first stages of Europro now, Ash?
Yeah, we're so we've done Q School. We did that in September, October.
Okay.
Which was lucky.
Okay.
So we're looking at Luton Who is the first one, which is That's 12th to 14th of May. We might be moving that one because not because of the tournament, it's because of the pro-am.
Okay.
So it's a huge pro-am, and it's the one that you can come back now, Claire.
That's fine. That's okay. I was doing some stuff upstairs and I came downstairs, so I was listening in, but I was kind of watching a wee bit of TV as well there because my mother was in the room too. So happy days. So yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really.
The Luton Who Pro-Am's the one Bill Kirbshley and co were involved in. So it's the Who, and because he manages the Who, so they were meant to be there and a load of big thing at Luton Who in the ballroom and all that, and there's no way we can do that in May. So that one will probably bite the dust and go to I think we're going to put it at the end of the season, have it as the last event. But otherwise I think we're going to be okay the way it is at the moment.
Good.
So I'll continue helping my friend build fences until then.
And how's Dan and the rest of them?
Dan's mad as ever. I've decided he's bipolar. He's definitely bipolar. He rings me and says one thing. The best one is between us guys. He rings me the other week and says, right, just imagine the high voice. I've got a sore throat. I can't do it. So it says, talking 100 miles an hour. And with the COVID and everything, we can't afford to do tour champs abroad, and we can't do this. And Desert Springs, he's not talking to Barry Hearn anymore, so we can't go there. And we're going to do it UK, because if COVID kicks off, and they're going to, at least we can be in the UK. We can do the UK. Yeah, UK's fine. Bang, off he goes. Next morning, there's an email to these guys in Egypt who want us to go and do tour champs there. Yeah, we need to come out and see it, and this is what we need, and this, that, and the other. So I sent him a message. I said, since when was Egypt in the UK? And I said, you are definitely bipolar. Because I talked to two of you. One of you says this, and the other one says the exact opposite. So I just choose which one I like and go with it and say, well, that's what you said. So tour champs is in Egypt, which apparently is in England somewhere. The little drone thing we've got going. 2 days ago, he was gonna fold his side of it and just basically work for me if I got a job. And then today, I get from him. Sorry, new phone. I don't know what. So Drone Inspired is the company. So I get the big thing. I'm going to just fold the company. It's too expensive to have as a toy kind of thing, and look at Rash. So basically, you carry on because you're doing it on your self-employed thing. So that's fine. I'll dump Drone Inspired, and basically, if we do a job, I'll work for you instead of the other way around, kind of thing. Yeah, fine. Today I get a text. Fuck it, I'm keeping Drone Inspired. With about a 20-minute conversation about how sensible it was. Save the money, because no golf courses are filming or anything like that. There's no point having it right now. And if we get a job, I'll do it on my books and pay you off mine. It makes no odds. Yeah. But today, 2:30, he's keeping Drone Inspired. Okay. Fair enough.
And generally, what's the kind of what's the consensus down? Have clubs kind of made it through, surviving? Is there a few on the brink?
I think there's a few on the brink. The only good thing was that when we had our email from Dan about tour champs, who's he? Don't even know who he's going to. Chris Fair. Fox Hills.
Tour champs at Fox Hills.
Well, he's offering it to them.
Okay. See, the PGA seniors has just been cancelled.
When was that meant to be?
Yeah, can't mind. I'm sure was that not Fox Hills actually.
Seniors usually is at Fox Hills, yes.
Yeah, it's been postponed. They're looking at maybe doing it later on.
Yeah. Oh dear, he's a funny man.
Did he get away to the Caribbean or not? Did he go?
Yeah, and they had to stay out there a bit longer. I think they stayed out there about another 5 days because of flights or something like that.
Right, okay.
So yes,
I didn't think he would have gone, to be
no,
fair. But
I didn't think he was going to go. We were doing a planning meeting, so I did. Where did I go? I went up to. That's right. I went to Leven on my own, and then we went to the one in Northern Ireland. And he booked to come on that one because that's all getting involved with the government and all this kind of stuff. They're trying to make it into the next British Open by the sound of it. So he needed to be there, and he got to the airport, and it was about 2 weeks before he was due to go away. And got to the airport, and social distancing on an airplane, it's impossible. Can't do it. I said, well, look, I'm going. Fine. And he nearly walked out the queue. He nearly didn't go because he was so petrified about getting it before they were meant to be going to the Caribbean. He said, if I get it, I am dead meat. You know, my parents are going to kill me. The wife's going to kill me. Barry Hearney's definitely going to kill me. And he nearly didn't get on the flight, but then he went and off they went. But yeah, I'm amazed they went. I think Barry Hearney had spent an awful lot of money on it. So that's why they went. But it was meant to be. They kind of shrouded it in business, so they had a board meeting while they were out there to pretend it was a business trip, which it wasn't. It was a holiday for everybody. But hopefully, a month or so we'll be looking like we're going to be a golf tour again.
Good.
Should be nice.
Good.
Who's the hot favourites this year?
I don't know. It's nowhere near as clear cut as
it was.
Yeah, the Penge Mansell Plant year was quite a year for talent, to be honest. And having missed a year, I don't know whether anyone's coming back to us, but there's no one really jumping out. I think as well going for any outside bets, Joe Brooks, do you know him?
Yeah, he's played up here a couple of times.
Yeah, he's a bit of a loon, but he's decided to take it a lot more seriously. He's lost a shed load of timber, and I think because he was quite good last year. I think he had a tied third and another good one. He wasn't all that far off.
Yeah.
And Luke Donnelly, the young Irish lad.
Yeah, he's been here too. Yeah.
Yeah, he showed a lot of promise first year. He was dreadful last year. I think he's got his brain into gear, but he's full of talent.
Yeah.
I think he could do all right. I think a couple of the Scottish guys will do okay. I think Sam Locke will probably come through better than he did last time.
Yeah.
But
Leven's a good golf course.
Yeah, don't know where they're going to practice, but apart from that, we should be all right.
Yeah, because what they could do, what are they going to do for a putting green?
They built one.
Oh, they built one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you know what they did when the Open was there, when the Open final queue was there. You know how there's a bowling green to the left.
Used bowling green, didn't they? That's right. Yeah.
Bowling green.
Yeah. Every putt dead flat.
They used the bowling green. So, but that's right. He did tell me they were going to build one.
I got my I've still got the photo. I got my hire car upgraded when I went to Leven.
Oh yeah, this was your I can remember seeing that. The Tesla, yeah.
Tesla, very nice.
Yeah. I booked like a bog standard thing, and they rang me up. The person using your car, he's extended it by a day, so it'll be an upgrade. But what do you want? And it was it's a Volkswagen Touareg, an X5, and she said, or the Tesla. And she said, and I think I know which one you're going for.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Did you let it drive you automatically, or what did you do? Did you kind of like
put the sat nav on, which is a screen like this big?
Right, it's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I put the thing in, and then it went, do you want to navigate by autopilot? And I was like,
yeah, it drives itself. Drive itself. One of our new,
couldn't do it.
We've got a new management group that's in charge, and one of our 5 in the management group, he's got 2 Teslas.
Oh, that's rude.
He's got 2. Apparently, he says he's selling the bigger one because he's just bought his wife one, but he's not sold it yet, so I'm not convinced.
Wow. I mean, that one I had is like quite a basic model. It's I think 93.5 grand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They're not cheap.
I mean, that's a month of Claire's salary, isn't it?
Oh, I wish.
A month? No, that's not what I've heard. That's only about 3 weeks.
100 years, isn't it?
I know. God, I wish that would be brilliant.
Okay, right. Well, thanks for that, Ash.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you, Ash.
Yeah, and just email me. You've got my email address, yeah?
I've got it somewhere, haven't I? I'm sure.
Horschel@montrosegolflinks.com. Just send me the invoice.
Make sure we've got
And
it.
I'll get that paid for you.
Yeah, I've got it.
All right.
No problem. New phone.
I
I need
will
one as well. Oh, hey.
speak soon. Claire, we've got meetings tomorrow, no?
No, I don't think so. Do we? Or do we?
I don't think so. I thought the tournament one was tomorrow.
Tournament one is today. I don't think there's anything tomorrow. I certainly don't have anything diarised just now for any Zoom meetings anyway, so that's fine. So yeah, because there's been quite a few today again. So yeah, so happy days.
Cool.
Ash, just while I've got you.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a couple of YouTubers, kind of similar to Golf Mates, but not quite as big as Golf Mates yet. It's ASSL Golf, and one of the boys is actually from Montrose, and he's kind of asked if there's anything possible that they could do in and around Europro.
So what do they do exactly?
They are YouTubers, so they're a bit like Golf Mates. They go around and they have different matches. They film in different areas, and they just do some fun stuff out on the golf course.
Around the tournament, the
So
person to contact initially would be Matt.
Right, because what he said to me was, we know Europro's coming back. Is there anything we could possibly do in and around the tournament? So that would be something we could maybe speak to Matt around.
Yeah, they might probably be the person. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought there'd be a problem if they did player interviews or something like that.
That's kind of what they were thinking, and maybe doing setting up, maybe trying to do something like the Sky Zone where they might do a yardage challenge or whatever. You know what I mean?
Maybe do something on the practice ground, maybe. Yeah,
that's what we were thinking.
Yeah, if you go to Matt first, because he's the social media guy, and then just as long as there's no clash with any existing sponsor or anything like that, it's I think as far as we're concerned, the more publicity you get, the better. So I wouldn't have thought there'd be a problem with that.
No bother. Okay.
Alrighty.
I will speak soon, but remember to send me the invoice.
Yeah, will do.
All right.
Thanks, Ash.
No worries. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.